right, here with Dan Hoffman, class of 1972. Mark Bocelli, class of 1972 as well. Wow, you guys walking in this gym, what does that make you think of when you walk in here?
Just a bunch of flashbacks of when we played here, and just how nice the gym it is. It's a great place to play basketball. You know, this was one of the new ones when you had to walk around and everything. It was pretty cool. Pretty cool.
I was really in, we were just recently just talking about if this was the original floor since '72, and I've been informed it is. They've done some board replacement, but that's amazing too. And it was so awesome to see this place filled, and then everybody up here, like Dan said, this is the new, they still do this, like Lakeville, Briar Lake, all has this walkway thing. It's really cool.
Then to see all the banners and stuff, because when we left, there was only a couple up there.
Exactly.
We got the first one up there.
So Mark, you're saying that I've always liked this I always notice that with high school gyms is when you walk in and go down instead of walking in the gym and walk up. These are better. You have like a balcony.
Yeah, exactly, right? Exactly.
All right, let's go back in time a little bit here, guys. The first thing I kind of wrote down when I knew I was going to talk to you guys was, what was it like being, on the first team, the second team of the existence of this school? So, a brand new school.
Well, whenever you play at Lincoln and places like that, it's just a thrill. Everything's new. You don't put on the new equipment. Everything's brand new. You're going to a new gym. I mean, you're just flying. It's fantastic. All new stuff. It's great.
We also had a unique experience being that during junior high, we got to play with people from Penn and Portland, and as it turns out, when we were juniors and seniors, we now run into them playing at Lincoln and Kennedy. So a lot of guys you played with, you end up playing against, which I don't think down the road you saw that so much. And we had things to prove, and we had a great new coach, and we had to let everybody know that Lincoln and Kennedy weren't the top dogs anymore.
Where were you guys before Jefferson? What schools were you at?
We were at Lincoln.
Okay. When did they name the schools? Because it used to be obviously Bloomington High School. When did it turn into Lincoln High School, Kennedy High School? Obviously when Jefferson came.
Kennedy opened in...
Kennedy was 65 and
Yep. Yeah.
So when Kennedy opened, that's when they started naming high schools after presidents.
Right.
And then that's probably when they changed it to change the name at Lincoln, right? Because it just used to be Bloomington.
Yes.
Right.
So then when they got Kennedy, maybe they switched it to Lincoln.
Okay.
Yeah, and Kevin, the other cool thing is our class, the first class, got to name the mascot. It was a poll with all the kids picking a name, and it came up with the Jaguars and colors.
Everything like that, we kind of got to vote on it.
Yep.
And so you kind of pick what you mascot.
So that's, if you got any complaints, it was our class, the first year, junior year.
I don't know if I voted for light blue.
Well, it was, it's anyways.
You guys so right now, just give your cell phone number right now. So if you have complaints, they come right to you guys. I thought it was Doc Smith. I was under the understanding, Coach, that Doc Smith chose the colors and the nickname, but that's not true. It's actually the student.
I don't believe so. It must have been a committee or something that decided that.
We had like, I know one of it was based on the colors. We had, if you think about it, I know the Lions was a popular choice because of the Detroit Lions and the colors and stuff, but we ended up with the Jaguars. And that was voted on by the students, Jack. And that's how that all happened, and the colors.
Interesting. Okay, so you guys were at the school 1970 to 72. Pretty interesting time, I mean, just in our country. I mean, you talk about the Vietnam War was going on at the time, and it was really the height of it, probably like the late 60s into the early 70s. What was it like as a teenager and a high school kid to be going on when that was taking place, such a big thing historically in our country?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's why it was nice to have basketball as a distraction, because basically we were coming up, the war was kind of tapering down and stuff. We all had to register for the draft. It would have been 2-3 years earlier, They were taking a lot of guys. But when we got there, we had to register when we turned 18. But there was a pretty good chance that we weren't going to get drafted, but there was still a possibility. But you've got that, then you've got all the opinions. The country was kind of torn. You know, like a lot of people wanted out, and fortunately we did get out of there not too long after we graduated.
So had you guys maybe been a few years older, you know, you've
Yes.
been like, say, 18 in 1967 or 68,
Right.
that could have been a different situation.
There were guys that were 2-3 years older than us that we know that like went to Lincoln. Their draft numbers were right there where they could have went. And we know several people that did get drafted, and you went there and did your duty. So
They actually we had to register, like Dan said, for the draft, but the year, our 1972, they did the draft numbers, but there was no draft anymore.
right, we were kind of
We're the last one, yeah, we're first
right at our
ones.
time.
Wow. So what was it like opening a new school, yet at the same time, you know, all the unrest with young people in this country? Was there anything you guys remember from that part of it?
No, I don't think we had a real controversy with Vietnam. I don't think anybody was at odds, you know, like in our environment here. You knew what was going on, but nobody was arguing about it, and they weren't taking sides. You were enjoying school. This was a one-time deal, and you were having a good time and playing ball, and that was kind of important to concentrate on that.
Right. Well, how big was your graduating class in 72?
775, 765?
Somewhere around there, yeah.
All the schools at that time, we were busting out at the seams, and most of the 3 schools had well over 700 people in it, I think. So
I was actually told at some point that Bloomington, I don't know if you guys know this, when Jefferson was built, there was talk of building a 4th high school, which would have been Washington, way out west part of the city.
Okay.
You guys aware of that at all?
never heard anything about
I
that.
heard that, and what's amazing is I moved south to Lakeville, Rosemont, and Apple Valley, and even with Lakeville, I mean, Lakeville just bought, basically a couple years ago, put another high school in. My ex-wife went to Lakeville. She went to the school downtown, and it was 1 through 12. And she graduated the same year I did, 72. Now there's, you know, but you already seen that they've already closed the elementary school in Lakeville because of the enrollment starting to fall. And I said, you know, you're going to see that happen in Bloomington. Same thing. We look at all the schools we had, and now they're senior citizens places, or you know what I mean. It's amazing. And Prior Lake, I got good. Dan and I both have friends from there. Their graduating class was under 100 in 71 and 72, and now they're a 6A school.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, let's, I want to ask you about, when you guys were juniors at Jefferson here, you played with Tom Rood, who ended up going on to, had a great high school career playing football, played hoops here obviously too, but he was more known obviously as a football player. Went to Nebraska, had a great career there, then played a number of seasons in the NFL.
Played with Buffalo, I think he got drafted.
Yeah, how was he as a basketball player, Tom Rood?
Well, he's just a good athlete. He's big, strong. You know, he's a 6'2" guy, but he's a football player, so he would mix it up big time. So you could count on him for double-digit rebounds every game, and he might clip somebody once in a while. But no, he was just a good athlete.
Throwing elbows a little bit, probably didn't want to get in the way.
You betcha. He wasn't afraid of getting hit.
Right.
No, and he was a very, very good athlete, and he was a good leader. He could motivate you. And just a good person and a good career, but football was his game. It wasn't basketball.
Right. All right, so let's get to that first. Do you guys remember who you played in the first game? Very first game in this school's existence.
I don't.
Do you remember?
In 71?
70, 71.
I don't remember. Jack, you remember who we played the first game here?
First game here?
In January?
Well, first game of the season, I'm saying.
Oh.
First game of the
I
season.
don't even know where we played. Probably Kennedy.
Well, we played,
Normandale.
as juniors, we played at Normandale and Kennedy, but I don't remember who our first game was and whether it was at Kennedy or Normandale.
I don't either. I should have looked it up.
You guys played St. Louis Park.
Wow.
Any memories again that you have of that St. Louis Park? You guys lost 61-51. Do you have Can you pull out anything from?
No, that junior year is a blank.
Yeah, fire
We were
coach.
working on our game. We were practicing when we were juniors.
Okay, but let's get to the fact that, so explain what happened with the gym here. The school opened in the fall of 1970, but what about the gym at that time? It wasn't ready to go.
Floor wasn't done.
And Jack just said today that there was about 27 boards put in a day, and I was down here every day just seeing how come it takes so long, you know. So
So I don't think we played our first home game here till January, wasn't it?
February 14th.
Yeah.
And then only one side of the gym had chairs.
Oh.
There was only bleacher on one side here.
Well, I don't remember that. I thought all the bleachers and
yeah.
that stuff.
I was on those guys every day. They put 27 boards in a day, no more, no less.
Well, then we
Every
didn't.
classroom you went to, they're banging away radiators and stuff like that too.
Well, then we didn't have much room because the band usually took up half those bleachers on that side. So
So practice, what about practice? So where'd you guys practice? You don't have a gym yet.
I remember practicing the first year was over at Hubert Olson. And it was morning practices, Jack, because I remember when you came up to me and I was sitting on the floor and I,
30 at Olson.
yeah, and I was sick as a dog because I wasn't used to getting up that time and playing and running and, yeah, so, yeah.
So 5:30 practices, how'd you handle that?
well, I don't remember them. I don't remember practicing at Olson or
Did you
the
really?
5:30.
Yeah, it was morning practices because I got sick.
Well, obviously we did it.
Yeah.
So,
How about games? I mean, where'd you play your home games if this place wasn't playable for 3 months, 2 months, whatever?
Normandale and Kennedy.
And Normandale, what was it like playing on that floor?
Well, you know the answer there. I don't like that tartan stuff. Yeah, I just don't care. That's just hard, no give. Just don't like it.
Yeah, and I loved it so much I played 2 more years after I left here at
And you had to get a
Normandale.
hip replacement.
And I had to get a hip
Because of it.
replacement.
Shouldn't be playing on that stuff.
You know, what was the process? Was the whole plan initially that the gym would be done by November,
That's
December?
what they told us.
Yeah.
So then what happened?
While they're building the whole school, and then you see what their priorities were.
Yeah, so I mean, did they kind of rush the building of this school? Do you think?
I don't know what went.
There was times, there was areas of the school where we would hang out and there'd be rolls of carpeting that haven't been put down yet. That we just sit on and BS and, you know, that type of stuff, because they hadn't put them down yet. So it was just cement floor.
Did it take about basically that first full year of,
I think so.
maybe the following summer where it finally got done
Yeah,
completely?
I think so. Pretty close.
Wow.
But it was cool. It was, the school opened, and I only lived about 8 blocks away, so it was good for me versus taking a bus to Lincoln. So it was all good.
And so when you didn't play at Normandale for your home games, you were playing at Kennedy for the home games. What do you recall about playing home games there?
Well, Kennedy was fine because, you know, coming up in the system, playing BA and stuff like that, you played all your games there. So even though you're familiar with the court, it wasn't any big deal. And it's a nice gym. So, but it's still nice to have your own gym to play in.
Right.
So,
I was going to ask Coach, the lighting there, I don't know if they've ever improved it, but the lighting there was terrible at Kennedy, and I felt we were in a dungeon.
because, Coach, you coached there, and like when you played in this gym,
It's bright.
It's bright, you know, and light. And remember, if we go to like play at Hopkins or Robbinsdale, it seems like the lighting up there was always really, really dim.
Yeah.
So that was what's nice in here, because when you played in this gym, it was illuminated.
Yeah.
Where a lot of those places you go, I don't know if it's because of the walls or whatever, but it always seemed like that was always darker when you go to Robbinsdale, Hopkins, Kennedy.
That's right.
Well, Jeff, still go over the Kennedy. Is it still the dark and?
They've made some improvements. Matt used to be the head coach over at Kennedy.
Oh,
And they made some improvements and they painted the walls. That helped a lot too. And I think we even got new lights in here. I think the lighting just improved over the years.
yep.
Most places.
So do you guys, how about your first win? I have your schedule right here, your season schedule.
Wow.
So I've looked this over a little bit.
As seniors?
No, juniors, first win for the program here. Do you guys,
Don't remember.
I don't.
should I tell you?
Yeah.
69-50 win over Cooper. Third game of the season.
Okay.
Remember that, Jack?
There's a lot of games right there.
Yeah.
All right, so let me just ask you some basic questions about the type of player. What type of player were you guys? Dan?
Just an off guard, a shooting guard. Mark?
Small forward. And in today's terms.
Yeah. Very true.
So would you have been a three-point shooter had the three-point line been in existence, Dan?
Oh, I think I would.
This guy was a shooter and a scorer, right, Coach?
Right.
And it was most of the shots he wanted outside the current three right now. So he would never drive. He'd just want to shoot the bombs.
Did you have like an itchy trigger finger? I mean, you're just constantly looking to pull the trigger on that?
Yeah.
Is that basically how you went?
Yep. You betcha.
Did you get the freedom necessary to be able to scratch that itch?
Yes, I did. And I appreciate that. Coach knew that, he knew that we put a lot of time in the gym and a lot of extra time working on the shooting and so forth. So we kind of had a green light back there. That was kind of nice.
Mark, is that true?
That's very true. I have a scrapbook, and I brought it to Dan's mother, that my mother put together. And in some of it was all basically Bloomington Sun and Minneapolis Star Trib articles and stuff. But with this, what I call I see our team, at least that year, was like, if you can take a look at the Golden State Warriors, we just ran. And we played 8-minute quarters, and I believe in one of the articles that we were averaging 75 points a game in 8-minute quarters. That's pretty, and I tell people that and they don't believe it, but that's a fact. And it was because Jack's offense set us up to run, and we ran.
We went to like a 1-3-1 zone. We played a little bit of that. Did we play much of a 2-3 back then or not?
A little bit 2-3. We played a lot of
You
man.
alternated in.
Yeah.
But like for that first half of that season, we'd go out and you'd let us play the man-to-man and we'd get the outlet and go, try to jump on people. And then as we went on, 3-4 games in, you introduced some zones, the pinch deal, the 1-3-1, and then we played a little 2-3, but our bread and butter was just to man-to-man and go.
Well, I think as the season wore on, you got to remember you guys are practicing at all different times, playing at different places, a full day of school, then you come back and play. And I think it's hard to catch up with, even though you're only 16, 17.
Oh, yeah, but we were on the mod system, so that means we could, on our hour break, we could get into the gym and
Our
shoot.
4-hour break.
Remember?
So explain what the mod system is, because that's interesting.
And it was like with Doc Smith and so forth, he brought in to give high school kids kind of a flavor of what college would be. So you had, what was it, 5 a day or?
Well, it's funny you bring that up, Kevin. My mother bought 15 papers because when I was in 7th grade, there's a picture of me in the front page of the Sun, and I'm standing there, and all it says is Mark has only lunch on Monday. And that's what my schedule was for a 7th grader to be able to handle just having lunch on Monday. You're supposed to be studying and all of this stuff, but you know what happened then. So, then it passed on to Jefferson. And the only time I ever had a structured 6-hour so-called was at Lincoln for 1 year. Otherwise, my whole junior high and senior, or high school
in the mod.
mod
So,
situation.
so if you have an open schedule, say on,
Yeah.
do you even need to go to school that day?
Yeah, I had to go to and report into the homeroom teacher, yeah.